Thank you. Last week, I met Loose Women presenters in Parliament, and I heard about their Facing It Together programme. Would the Minister, first of all, support the Facing It Together programme and also support a plan we've hatched to get a poster for it in every GP surgery in this country? Thank you.
Minister.
I absolutely would support the Loose Women on this. I was about to say I'd like to think of myself as one, but I'm not sure that would come across as well. I agree that signage in GP surgeries, dental waiting rooms and pubs and clubs are all valuable tools to warn the public about the signs of domestic abuse and can help point those who are worried about a friend or family member to places of help. We must make sure that as a government, and what we are doing is to make sure that where people need to see those things, they will be there.
And the best subject.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In June, I asked the Government to consider my private member's bill calling for the Government to publish a strategy to tackle interpersonal abuse and violence against men and boys. The strategy would ensure that male survivors of crimes considered to be violence against women and girls, such as rape, sexual assault, domestic abuse, forced marriage and honour-based violence, are given dedicated support. It would also prevent male survivors from having to be in spaces that should be for women. On the 1st of September, the Safeguarding Minister told me that the strategy will be published early in the autumn. We're now well past that. So what is causing the delay in publishing the revised WARG strategy, and can she assure me it will specifically address male survivors of crimes considered to be violence against women and girls?
Yes, I can absolutely give him that assurance, and I would also like to extend an opportunity to meet with him to discuss these matters. I'd be more than happy to do that and see where we can go forward together. And what I can say about what is causing the delay is that this will be completely cross-government and has to be made sure that in allocations processes and all the things that go on in government departments that it is as good as it possibly can be, because the NAO reports about previous WARG strategies leaves quite a lot to be desired, and I don't want that to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the last couple of months, the West Midlands has seen a spate of racially motivated attacks on women of colour, including rapes of Sikh women, who now tell me that they are scared to walk on our streets or use public transport to go to work. Does the Minister agree that there is no place in Britain for any kind of racial hatred? These crimes must be punished to the full extent of the law, and what assurance can she offer women and girls in my constituency of Wolverhampton West that they will have the full protection of the police and the authorities so that they can feel safe?
I thank the honourable gentleman and, frankly, my neighbour in Birmingham, and share his real concerns about a spate of what appear to be racially motivated sexual violence. All I can say is that obviously some of these cases are in sub judice and charges have been laid, but I will absolutely give him my assurance, and have spoken to organisations who work with black and minoritised women on the ground to ensure that we can do everything that we can, along with police and other agencies, to make sure women where he and I live feel safe.
After a Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Strangulation is an extremely common form of gendered violence. Up to 2/3 of women suffering domestic abuse report having been strangled. I've corresponded with the Minister about the need for the Institute for Addressing Strangulation to have funding certainty beyond March next year to continue its vital work, but have had no assurances. I know how seriously she takes this issue, but can she tell us what she's doing to make it clear to the Chancellor that sustaining this life-saving work must be a priority if we're to meet the government's target of halving violence against women and girls?
First and foremost, I absolutely appreciate the honourable lady's question, and was very proud that yesterday it was announced that this government will make strangulation in pornography illegal in our country because of the rising tide of it, frankly, becoming acceptable. And much of that work comes from the institutions she talks about. And what I want to say to her is that she has to have absolutely no doubt that there isn't a cabinet minister in the country who doesn't feel the strength of my feelings about what should be spent on violence against women and girls.
Mr.
Mr Speaker, we know, and I'm certainly seeing through my casework, that coercive control can continue for years after a relationship has ended through the manipulation of child maintenance payments by perpetrators. So can I ask the Minister, what steps is she taking with DWP colleagues to ensure that the systems work to support survivors and not enable perpetrators?
I thank the Honourable Lady and have seen those cases. In fact, there are domestic homicide reviews that point to failures in CMS leading to the most tragic circumstances. So we're absolutely working with the Department of Work and Pensions to make sure that the system that operates in our country is completely safe, but also more widely with the Department for Work and Pensions on exactly what we are doing in their department on violence against women.
Kirsty Black.
A constituent who was domestically abused by a dependent on her visa. She's been trying to seek information from UKVI about whether or not this individual is still in the UK or still has a visa. I'm wondering if the Minister would consider something similar to Clare's Law, so that people have got the right to ask about whether or not what somebody's current visa status is, and UKVI can release that information to them.
I thank the Honourable Lady and have handled cases not dissimilar to myself where a third party cannot be given the information, so I understand absolutely her frustration. And in that area obviously that sits within the Home Office is an area that I scrutinise very closely, and I will gladly take away her recommendations because I think, frankly, they're quite good ones.
Carla Lockhart.
Speaker, the Minister will know I'm unashamedly pro-life. Whilst I strongly welcome the Government's commitment to ending violence against women and girls, surely that must mean protecting women from harm and coercion in every setting. Given the serious safeguarding concerns and reports of coercion linked to abortion pills by post, will she commit to review this policy to ensure that women are never put at risk?
Minister.
The Honourable Lady makes a very important point about how women's health and can be used in coercion, especially their fertility, on both sides of the coin, about not having an abortion and having an abortion. She, unlike her, she will know I am positively pro-choice. However, she absolutely is right that when we look at any regulation around changes in abortion legislation in our country, that those conversations will absolutely be going on and all safeguards will be put in place.
Shall Secretary of State Mims Davis.
This government talks better protection for women and girls while actively passing changes to our sentencing laws, disgracefully meaning more than 90% of grooming offenders and 60% of rapists sent to prison will get their prison time cut. Mr Speaker, was there an assessment on the impact of those changes on women and girls specifically? And can the Minister point to one single organisation representing women and girls that supports cutting prison time to 1/3 of a sentence for sexual assault and grooming?
Minister.
I'll have to go away and check exactly what the Minister has said with regard to the people she says will be released, because there are, of course, exceptions, more exceptions than there were under her government's prison release scheme, because people like me and my honourable friend had oversight of it and cared about women in this process. But what I'm going to say is that it is absolutely shocking that a government that oversaw the total collapse of our prison system wouldn't then, where we wouldn't be able to arrest rapists because there wouldn't be places for them to go into prison, can dare to stand there and suggest that that is something that we should... It is unbelievable that she cannot recognise her own role in it.
Bridget Goldman, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I recently met with the Centre for Action on Rape and Abuse, also known as CARA, who support thousands of victims and survivors of sexual violence across Essex, including in my constituency of Chelmsford. CARA are concerned about future funding and the need for a stronger focus on tackling sexual violence. So will the Minister confirm that funding for the Rape and Sexual Abuse Support Fund and independent sexual violence advisor services will continue beyond March 2026, and outline how the government will prioritise addressing sexual violence?
Minister.
I thank the Honourable Lady and the Ministry of Justice who oversee victims funding absolutely ring-fenced the two different sexual violence funds, in fact, that she referenced in her question last year to ensure that they were protected. And as for Onward, I find it vanishingly unlikely, is what I would say. But whilst the CSR is being allocated, it would be very difficult for me to stand here and say, but I find it very unlikely, as somebody who used to work in one of those services, that the idea that they won't be funded in the future.
Kenneth Stevens.
Please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, across government, we're supporting a number of initiatives to increase the number of women in STEM. The target of 35% of women's participation in the advanced manufacturing sector, investing £18.2 million to ensure underrepresented groups get the maths support they need in schools, as well as working with schools to support them in developing a triple science offer for all pupils, ahead of introducing a statutory entitlement. A successful STEM sector is a diverse one, and it starts with inspiring the girls of today.
Stevens.
Yeah. Thanks to this government embracing AI, constituencies such as Airdrie and Shotts are seeing substantial investment in data centres which will create jobs and re-industrialise former industrial heartlands. On National Engineering Day, does she agree with me that this government's commitment to vocational training and apprenticeships will open more doors to young women in towns and cities across the country to join the STEM workforce and lead the AI revolution?
Minister.
My honourable friend speaks from experience in education and is absolutely right. That's why we're investing £187 million in our Tech First programme to bring digital skills and AI learning into classrooms and communities, while 7.5 million workers are set to gain essential AI skills through our industry partnership. Training will open up opportunities in constituencies like Airdrie and Shotts and put women and girls at the centre of the AI revolution, and I commend his work in this area.
Alison Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister seriously believe that cutting funding for the International Baccalaureate, a qualification proven to keep more girls studying STEM subjects, will help increase the number of women entering STEM industries?
Minister.
An Education Minister will be happy to discuss that with her.
Jack Rankin.
Number 4, please, sir.
Minister, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is determined to break down barriers to opportunity so that everyone can achieve success, and this commitment is underpinned by strong data and evidence.
Jack Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this year, the Education Secretary said that white working-class boys had been betrayed. Yet this summer, MI5, MI6 and GCHQ ran an internship scheme which was open only to people from ethnic minority backgrounds. I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, the House of Commons runs a similar scheme in partnership with the Windsor Fellowship. What message does the Minister think it sends to our children that some doors are closed because of the colour of their skin, particularly in the context of what she said about white working-class boys?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a lot of respect for the honourable gentleman as a fellow Berkshire MP, but I would just gently say to him it is right that people who serve our country in whatever form reflect the communities that they serve. These schemes are about levelling the playing field, not about creating an unfair advantage, and everybody who is given a place is done so on merit. This party, on this side of the House, we follow the evidence. He just follows the honourable member for Clapton.
Warren Session Lammy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we come to the end of celebrating Black History Month, I think it's vital that we continue to promote diversity in all workplaces. Does the Minister agree with me that it's fundamental for us to have DEI practices in all workforces so that we can fight equality, fairness, transparency, preventing discrimination, especially discrimination that far too many people still face in the workplace?
Minister.
I thank the Honourable Lady for her question and for her great campaigning work. I agree with her that we must do absolutely everything possible to break down all barriers to opportunity in our country.
Secretary of State Clerk Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Labour's previous definition of Islamophobia was adopted by councils which had grooming gang scandals. and it said that even talking about grooming gangs was an example of anti-Muslim racism. We know from Louise Casey public servants didn't speak up because they were scared of being called racist, and now they're bringing in a new definition, but they're refusing to tell the public what's in it. So will she commit to publishing the draft definition before it's adopted for full public scrutiny?
Minister.
Wherever there's abuse, it should be tackled, and we will be publishing details in due course.
We now come to topical still fairness. Still fairness. Topical one.
Sorry, Mr. Endometriosis care is an...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In October, we celebrated Black History Month. It's been an opportunity to renew our commitment to maintaining all the progress that we have made and ensuring that racial hatred has no place in our society. This year also marks the 60th anniversary of the Race Relations Act, enacted by a Labour government. We will continue to build on its legacy with our plans to introduce the Equality, Race and Disability Bill in this Parliament, and we have also established the Race Equality Engagement Group, chaired by the Noble Baroness Lawrence.
Still fairness.
Endometriosis care is in urgent need of reform. I have lost track of the number of young women who have contacted me to share their horror stories, some of whom have been more than a decade to receive a diagnosis. The system is failing them, and I welcome the government's commitment to update the Women's Health Strategy, but can the Minister confirm that menstrual health conditions such as these will be at the forefront of the renewed strategy? Thank you.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend and for all the campaigning she has done on this issue. She is right that too many women suffer trauma and pain, their symptoms and concerns not taken seriously, and we are committed to prioritising women's health. We've commissioned a number of studies focused on endometriosis diagnosis, treatment and patient experience, alongside 6 research trials totalling an investment of approximately £5.8 million. This will be an essential part of our 10-year health plan.
Secretary of State, Clerk of Tea.
In January, the Supreme Court ruled that sex means biological sex. This was a huge victory for women's rights. But now we hear that she's kicking the EHRC's much-needed guidance into the long grass. But the law is not changing. The law is as it's always been. So will she release the guidance and make sure that women's rights are protected?
Mr. Speaker, if I may, I'd just like to say how moved I was by the interview that the Right Honourable Lady gave to The Times about her experience and that of her son. I'm really pleased that both of them are doing so well and that she's back with us in this House today. Mr. Speaker, we are committed to protecting single-sex spaces, and as I set out in this House, I welcome the clarity of the Supreme Court ruling, and providers should follow it. The EHRC have given me the code of practice. We're working through that. It's a lengthy document covering all of the protected characteristics. Any suggestion of delay is simply wrong. The EHRC should know that I am legally required to consult the devolved governments. The EHRC have been asked to carry out a full regulatory impact, they have not been asked to carry out a full regulatory impact assessment, but instead a minimum assessment.
Secretary of State, topicals, Florence Turner. Who's the...
Dyspraxia is a common condition, but public awareness levels are still too low. Does the Minister agree that more needs to be done across government and society to raise awareness of dyspraxia?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I do. We want a more inclusive society where neurodivergent people, including those with dyspraxia, are supported to thrive. We're working across government, supporting earlier intervention in schools, including through the Partnerships for Inclusion of Neurodiversity in Schools programme, SEND reforms coming forward in the new year, but we're also beyond education, taking a wider view of how we ensure people with conditions like dyspraxia are not held back.
Due to the rural nature of West Dorset, SEND children face difficulty accessing education. I've got caseworker, a young girl with stroke whose transport was withdrawn 2 days beforehand. Will the Minister work with other departments to solve the problem of SEND children accessing education in rural areas?
I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman. I recognise the concern that he has raised and that many members across this House have raised. That's why we'll be setting out our plans to make improvements to the system through the Schools White Paper, and I'd welcome the contribution of the honourable gentleman and his colleagues as part of that process, because I think it is important that we put children's interests first and get to the right system, particularly around early identification of need.
Dr. Sam Knott.
Stroud, a fantastic volunteer group, the Night Angels, started by Chrissy Lowry, patrol the streets and the trains to give safety for young women. Would the Minister support this group? And also, would she like to join us on a patrol donning the trademark pink fluorescent jackets? Thank you.
Minister.
I mean, the Secretary of State is already wearing a pink jacket. I just want to pay absolute tribute to the group in his constituency, and I know that the Victims and Violence Against Women and Girls Minister will be visiting Stroud very soon and has offered to don the pink jacket on our behalves.
Alison Griffith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last night I was honoured to speak at an event you kindly hosted with the RNID. I met Craig, the Chief Executive of Action Deafness, which delivers vital services across my constituency, as well as Stuart, an academic focused on the needs of deaf young people. They told me that deaf people too often navigate support from siloed health, education and welfare systems that create barriers. So what steps is the Minister taking to coordinate cross-departmental support for deaf people to prevent them from falling between the gaps?
The Honourable Lady raises an important point, and I'd be more than happy to make sure that she has a meeting with the relevant Minister to discuss her concerns and to make sure that action is being taken across government to address them.
Right, that completes those questions. Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, may I extend a warm welcome to the President of the Portuguese Parliament and his delegation, who are with us in the gallery today. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Mr Conor Rand.
One, Mr Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, is in Brazil, attending COP30 in Belém and the Earthshot Prize alongside His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Mr Speaker, the thoughts of the whole House remain with those affected by the appalling scenes that we saw in Huntingdon and Peterborough, where I spent 7 years of my life at school. We thank our emergency services for their outstanding professionalism and the individuals who showed such tremendous courage to defend others. Mr Speaker, this weekend is Remembrance Sunday. We will never forget those who fought to defend our freedom. It's been one of the greatest honours of my career to meet our troops around the world, whether in Cyprus, the Gulf or Australia. This week, the government announced the biggest renewal of armed forces housing in more than 50 years, kick-starting one of Britain's most ambitious building programmes in decades. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And can I start by congratulating the Deputy Prime Minister on being the first black person to ever answer Prime Minister's question. A landmark moment for this place in our country, and I hope he is proud. Mr Speaker, my 8-year-old constituent Phoebe is battling cancer, and her parents are fundraising to help with treatment costs and to raise awareness of Phoebe's condition. And people across my constituency have been moved by her story and have come together to raise over £122,000. So will the Deputy Prime Minister join me in paying tribute to Phoebe's inspirational bravery? And will he celebrate the incredible generosity and community spirit of Altrincham and Sale West?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, it's very kind of the honourable gentleman to say that, and I'm conscious that my right honourable friend, the member for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, and indeed the leader of the opposition, are both trailblazers who've stood at this dispatch box, and it's important to recognise the progress that we've been made, particularly in the wake of Black History Month. I also thank my honourable friend for raising this issue. It's heartwarming to see a community rally around someone as brave as Phoebe. So I wish Phoebe, her twin brother Eric, and her parents Lindsay and Mark the very best in their fight against cancer.
Shall the Secretary of State for Defence, James Coughlin.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And can I begin by associating myself
and the opposition with the remarks by the Deputy Prime Minister about the terrible and horrific attack in Huntingdon. We wish a speedy recovery to those still in hospital and pay tribute to the brave actions of the public and the police. Now, Mr. Speaker, overnight, the father of the girl assaulted in Epping by Hadish Gabatu, the illegal immigrant, released by accident, said the government had failed them relentlessly. Now, I confess, I'm surprised the Deputy Prime Minister hasn't already apologised. So I'm going to give him an opportunity now. Will he apologise to the family concerned?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, it's great to see the honourable gentleman in his place. I had expected to see the Shadow Justice Secretary, but nevertheless, I'm pleased to see the honourable gentleman. He must have missed the debate, because in the debate, of course, I said sorry for the anxiety caused whilst Kibatu was at large, and I repeat that, and it's hugely important that Dame Lynn Ann Owens now gets to the bottom of what has happened with her further investigation.
James Cartledge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Watching the interview last night, I have to say it was absolutely heartbreaking. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I do think he owes it to offer an apology here on the floor of the House. But he should have done that at the start of his remarks, Mr. Speaker. These are very serious matters, Mr. Speaker, which is why I want to ask him a further very important question. Can he reassure the House that since Kibatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, the House is thankfully quiet, so I'm surprised the honourable gentleman didn't hear me when I said that of course I apologise and I'm sorry for the anxiety caused. But look, let me just remind him that he was a justice minister that allowed our prisons to get to this state in the first place. And it's now for us to fix the mess that we've got into. It's important that Dame Lynn Ann Owens can now continue her work and understand what is happening. He knows that early release has begun under their watch in 2021.
Mr. Speaker, these are extremely serious crimes that we are talking about. I'm going to ask him the question again. Can he reassure the House that since Kibatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? It's a very specific question for him to answer.
Deputy Prime Minister.
After his release, I put in place the toughest checks we've ever had in the prison system. It is important that Lynn Owens is able to get to the bottom of her work. I suspect there'll be more checks and balances we need to do. What we inherited was a complicated system that they set up, letting people out on the sly. That's part of the problem, and we're trying to fix it.
James Cartledge. Mr. Speaker, he's the Justice Secretary. He's responsible for the justice system. He needs to take responsibility, and I'm asking him a straight question. And I'm going to repeat it once more for the avoidance of doubt, because he didn't answer it twice. He's here to answer questions. Can he reassure the House that since Kibatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? It's a clear question. Can he give an answer?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Get a grip, man. I know I'm the Justice Secretary. That's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. I'm not going to pray in aid. Dame Ann Owens is a former Deputy Commissioner in London, head of the NCA. It is for her to get to the bottom of that work. Of course, we know that there have been spikes since 2021 under his watch. When did he come to this House and apologise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The purpose of government is to take...
I want to hear both. Quiet. James Cartledge.
Mr. Speaker, it's getting noisier now, so just in case he didn't hear me. He's the Justice Secretary. Can he reassure the House that since...
I will have no gestures from the balcony. Let me reassure you, don't gesture to me. It's not a wise decision. This is important. Prime Minister's questions, all our constituents are listening.
People in Epping and right across the country want to know the answer, Mr. Speaker. So I'm going to ask him again. He's the Justice Secretary. Can he reassure the House that since Kabatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? Can he answer the question?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I've got to tell you, I spent 14 years in opposition and I did a hell of a lot better than he's just done. I have answered the question. Under their watch, prisons were in a mess. Suicides went up. Prison officers cut. 20,000 neighbourhood polices lost. We've deported more in the last year than they deported in the last 5 years. Please, I'm not going to take any lecture from the honourable gentleman.
Mr. Jewis and Mr. Stafford, you test my patience each week. Today's not the day to test my patience. We do have quite a bank holiday, so I certainly wouldn't want to be testing it at the moment. James Cartledge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The public are extremely concerned about what happened in the Kabatu case. They want to know there won't be a repeat. So I'm putting to him a very clear question about his responsibilities. I repeat, can he reassure the House that since Kabatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? Can he answer the question?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward to being up against the member for Newark next time. In 25 years in this House, I've not witnessed a more shameful spectacle, frankly, than what the party opposite left in our justice system. Their criminal negligence on his watch as a former Justice Minister. They left our prisons on the brink of collapse entirely, threatening to allow offenders to run wild on our streets. He knows that. Rape victims waiting years for their day in court. He knows that. Neighbourhood policing decimated, leaving our people feeling unsafe in their communities, and they haven't learned a thing. We are tackling knife crime, that's why it's falling. 13,000 more bobbies we are putting on the streets, kicking out 5,000 foreign criminal offenders. I've got to say to the honourable gentleman, he should do better.
Jonathan Blash. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent, Georgia Hart.
More, I got it to 6. James Cartledge. Order. It is 6. I'm all right. 6, you've had your 6. Sorry, I was correct. Jonathan Brash.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Jonathan Brash.
Mr. Speaker, my constituent, Georgia Hart, was just 15 years old when she was diagnosed with Friedreich's ataxia, a cruel and degenerative condition that slowly robs a person of their mobility and independence. Since then, her courageous parents have battled day in and day out to raise awareness and money to get her the treatment she needs. There is now a drug, omavalaxolone, which has been proven to slow the progression of the disease. Yet despite this, it's been stalled by NICE, partly because the number of patients affected is judged to be above the limit for ultra-rare conditions. Georgia and those like her are being failed not because the science isn't there, not because the treatment isn't there, but because simply the numbers do not add up. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree we cannot allow bureaucracy to stand in the way of life-changing treatment? And will he commit to ensuring that I, along with Ataxia UK, can meet the relevant minister at the earliest opportunity so that Georgia and her families do not lose more precious time?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, like the honourable member for Braintree, it doesn't seem that the spokesman can count, let alone stand up on behalf of the public. But can I thank my honourable friend? Our NHS has a strong record in delivering new medicines for rare diseases, and that evaluation process is rightly led by NICE. As I understand, the manufacturer of the new treatment for Friedreich's ataxia has withdrawn from this process. However, the door remains open for the company to re-engage, and I'm very happy to arrange a meeting that my honourable friend is seeking more broadly to help ensure everyone gets the care they deserve while investing an additional £29 billion in the National Health Service.
Daisy Cooper, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of my party, can I join the Deputy Prime Minister in expressing our horror at the terrifying knife attack at the weekend and pay tribute to all those, including the emergency services, who put themselves in harm's way to protect others. And as we approach Remembrance Sunday, can I also join him in remembering all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our rights and our freedoms? Those rights and freedoms are now under threat in a way that we have not seen since the Second World War. Putin is waging war on our continent and interfering in democracies across Europe. The Chinese government is waging espionage against this House, and Elon Musk is inciting violence on our streets. To date, the government has failed to heed our calls for a new inquiry into Russian meddling, failed to place China on the enhanced tier of country threats, and failed to launch an MI5 investigation into the threat posed by Elon Musk. So can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister, what will it take for the government to act and protect our democracy?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful to the honourable lady. Can I just remind her, as Foreign Secretary, I stood at this dispatch box and I spoke to the China audit that we said we would do in coming into government, and we did that. I did it on the same day that we published our national security strategy, and of course my defence colleague has also published the Strategic Defence Review. She looks across all three of those documents. They set this country in the best place possible to face down the threats that she rightly refers to.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope the Deputy Prime Minister in his new role will consider our calls again. But right now, families across the country are struggling with a cost of living crisis, yet the Chancellor is preparing to increase taxes. Meanwhile, because of high interest rates and arcane Treasury rules to do with quantitative easing, the big banks are making billions of pounds in windfall profits that they never expected, that they never relied on, and never had to take any risk to earn. So without asking the Deputy Prime Minister to preempt the Chancellor's budget, can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister which he thinks is fairer, taxing struggling families or taxing big banks?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, she knows. We've got 80 years of convention, and it is for the Chancellor of the Exchequer to present her budget later on this month. But can I just say gently to her, it is under her government, in which they were in coalition with the Conservatives, that we saw austerity right across our country. And she will know that there are major parties proposing austerity again. And I know that the Chancellor will do everything she can to continue, as she set out yesterday, to invest in our NHS and our public services.
Tristan Osborne.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The leader of my local council, Kent County Council, has said that they're a shop window on Reform UK, with councillors facing criminal charges, inappropriate conduct and behaviour, a defection, 5 expulsions, a failed Doge cost-cutting drive and an authoritarian leader who shouts and swears at colleagues. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that the people of Kent deserve so much better? And how is the government going to ensure that we deliver higher standards in local government?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I see the honourable member for Clacton in his seat. Reform said, this may be the first time I've seen him in Prime Ministers, but Mr. Speaker, Reform said that Kent County Council would be the best advert for what a Reform government would look like. They're delivering on the chaos that they promised and on standards in public life. I say to the honourable gentleman, no, Mr. Speaker, this is serious. I used to replace the honourable gentleman on LBC, so we've known each other for many years. The disgraceful racist language that we heard from a Reform MP last week belongs in the dark ages. And
Even Flynn.
It feels like it comes around quicker every year, Mr. Speaker, because the 22nd to the 28th of November marks BBC Scam Awareness Week, and by sheer coincidence, the Chancellor has chosen that week of all weeks to deliver her budget. So given her previous broken promises on energy bills, on inflation and to businesses, can he confirm to the public that if they see something suspicious on tax at the budget, they should report it?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I usually look forward to the bombast that the honourable gentleman brings to the chamber, but as usual, the SNP will say anything to distract from their appalling record. In the week where Scotland's Health Secretary had to apologise for the state of the health service on their watch, he could have mentioned that in his question. We will see what is in the budget later on this month.
Charlotte Littles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the thoughts of the whole House will be with everyone affected by the Huntingdon attack, and we should praise the actions of the train's driver, Andrew Johnson, and the heroic guard, Sami Zatuni. In my mind, a worthy candidate for consideration for the George Cross, as we wish him well in his continued recovery. Andrew Johnson told ITV News he was, quote, just doing his job. Will the Deputy Prime Minister take this opportunity from the dispatch box to recognise the importance of our railway crews, drivers and station staff, and the vital role they play in keeping us all safe, from averting suicides on the rail network to dealing with antisocial behaviour and emergencies like we've seen this week?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. The actions of the driver, Andrew Johnson, and the train staff member, Sami Zatuni, were nothing less than heroic. And I'm sure that the whole House would agree that some form of recognition is absolutely deserved. Our country is defined by these people working on the front line, caring for and supporting the public every single day. I'm proud to be part of a government that's fighting for them, increasing their pay, tackling the cost of living crisis, and fixing the public services that we rely on.
Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on Sunday and on Tuesday, we will honour those that made the ultimate sacrifice from not only this country, but across the Commonwealth. Which is why I wear not only the poppy, but the marigold to honour the Commonwealth troops that gave their lives. But next Sunday, the week on Sunday, will be the parade at the Cenotaph by the Association of Jewish Ex-Servicemen and Women, where Jewish people will come together. Veterans, men, women and children will parade with the medals that their forefathers won during World War II and the Great War and other conflicts. So it will be particularly apposite to this year, with anti-Semitism on the rise, that a senior cabinet minister comes to that parade and lays a wreath on behalf of this House and the whole country to remember the Jewish people that gave their lives for this country so we could all be free.
Deputy Prime Minister.
I'm very grateful to the honourable member for his question. I bought a new suit this morning because my godmother said she would be watching. But his question brings to mind the West Indies Regiment and their contribution in 2 world wars. And I'm very grateful to the honourable member for Sunderland South for ensuring that despite wearing a new suit, I managed to put my poppy on. We wear the poppy to remember all those who fought and died for this country. They represented every walk of life, every race and every religion. My ministerial colleague, the Noble Lord Coker, will be proud to lay a wreath at the annual remembrance event at the Cenotaph to mark our enduring gratitude to generations of Jewish service personnel and veterans. And I'd like to thank Ajax for organising the event and for all they do throughout the year to keep alive the memory of Jewish people, many of whom are in my constituency, their descendants in my constituency in Stamford Hill, who gave their lives for this country.
Susan Joseph.
Mr. Speaker, I'm regularly contacted by leaseholders and residential freeholders from across Ashford, Hawkinge and villages who raise concerns about rising property management fees, poor service and lack of transparency over what they are being charged for. As they already pay council tax, it is wrong they pay extra for maintenance of roads and green areas on their estates. Will the Deputy Prime Minister update the House on the actions the government is taking to reform the current outdated system so that my constituents can look forward to having stronger rights, greater powers and improved protections?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for millions of leaseholders, the dream of home ownership has fallen woefully short of what was promised. That's why we're implementing the Leasehold and Freehold Reform Act, providing homeowners with greater rights, power and protections. We'll bring the injustice of fleasehold to an end, protecting people from unfair costs. And as he knows, my honourable friend for Greenwich is going to meet the director of First Port to address serious concerns over their performance.
Pete Wishart.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On Monday at the dispatch box, the Defence Secretary said the Scottish Government were a threat to national security. A charge repeated this morning by the Scottish Secretary. What he, in effect, was saying is that a democratically elected government, elected by 1.3 million Scots, possess a threat to this country. I don't know if it's something the Deputy Prime Minister will repeat at the dispatch box today, but can he tell me why democratic Scotland is a threat to national security and China is not?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I took a DNA test a few years ago. I'm 5% Scot. The people of Scotland are not a threat. They're not a threat to national security. It's the SNP. And their desire to get rid of nuclear deterrent is a threat to national security. You should hang his head in shame.
Lee Ingham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is at this time of year that many of us think of those who have served their country and continue to do so. Those like my granddad, who served in World War II and brought up my dad and my uncles in forces accommodation. Those like my nephew, currently serving, who sends me videos of accommodation riddled with black mould. So would the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister, welcome with me the new Defence Housing Strategy announced this week, which will guarantee the end of the scandal of unfit forces accommodation? And will he guarantee to my residents in Stafford, Eccleshall and the villages, the 500 plus military families, that they will finally have accommodation fit for them?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I pay tribute to my honourable friend for championing our armed forces who make extraordinary sacrifices to keep our country safe. We are renewing our country, and that includes renewing our contract with those who commit the ultimate sacrifice. 4,000 military homes, that's 9 out of every 10, are going to be upgraded thanks to the $9 billion that we are investing, and of course that will include her constituency, homes fit for heroes, delivered by a Labour government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I echo the words of the member for Harrow East of how proud I am to wear the marigold alongside my poppy. Last year, Sadiq Khan was elected London Mayor with a promise to keep a police station front counter open in all 32 London boroughs 24 hours a day. Labour have just broken that promise to Londoners, as only 2 will remain. This year, the Met Police has 1,419 fewer police officers and staff, fewer people working hard to keep Londoners and our visitors safe. And in Sutton-on-Cheam, we've just had our High Street police team cut from 11 to just 4 officers, inevitably leaving my constituents less safe. So does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with the Liberal Democrats and Sir Mark Rowley that a shrinking Met Police force compromises their ability to keep Londoners safe?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, as he knows, the previous government cut police officers and PCSOs while also critically underfunding the criminal justice system. We're acting in London, funding the Met, Mr. Speaker, up to £262 million this year, and we're investing £200 million this year to put 3,000 more neighbourhood police on our streets by spring. Through our crime and policing bill, we'll also give them powers that they need, including enough tough new respect orders to tackle crime and make our streets safer. But I do just say gently to the honourable member, because he's a Liberal Democrat, they come to their feet, they ask for more funding, and then given the opportunity, they vote against the reforms that will actually grow our economy.
Laura Kirk-Smith.
Mr. Speaker, in Aylesbury I've been running a programme called Your Voice, Your Future to help young people engage with politics and shape the issues that matter to them. They've sent in ideas for the school curriculum review, they've advocated for better mental health support, and they've shared their fears about smartphones and social media. Will the Deputy Prime Minister join me in recognising the contributions and ideas of young people, and what more will he do to ensure that they can meaningfully engage in national policy?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I applaud my honourable friend? She's a passionate champion of the next generation. She will have seen my right honourable friend, the member for Sunderland South, launch her curriculum review, which will deliver high standards for every child, giving them the skills they need to thrive and boost their engagement in our democracy. And I'm proud that we'll also be giving 16 and 17-year-olds the right to vote in our UK elections, to make their powerful voices heard.
Mr. Speaker, burning waste is as polluting as burning coal, and we already have incinerator overcapacity. So when will this government renew the last government's pause on new incinerators? When will it end perverse deliver or pay contracts with incinerator companies? And when will it deliver an incineration tax, like the landfill tax, to encourage waste reduction, reuse and recycling?
Deputy Prime Minister.
The honourable gentleman is very experienced. He knows that our country's future on energy is in renewables. That's why we're investing in renewables, and he should listen carefully to what the right honourable Prime Minister has got to say when he gets to COP. The Chancellor will have heard his observation in terms of further taxes. He's got to wait until the end of the month to see what happens.
Adam Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since this government has massively boosted the national minimum wage for young people, my constituents in Erewash earn far more than the £3.40 an hour I got paid in my first job just 17 years ago. What is the Deputy Prime Minister's response then to those, including the Conservatives and Reform, who claim that £10 an hour is too high a wage for young workers? And does he happen to know whether any of the Reform leaders' dozen extra jobs pay him less than £10 an hour?
Well, I was looking at the honourable member for Clacton's member's interests, and he's making quite a lot out of gold bullion. You've got to ask, why does he want to cut the minimum wage for people who are not making even 1% of what he is? The Labour Party's on the side of young people, boosting their wages and delivering the youth guarantee to help everyone realise their potential. And I hope young people recognise what the two other parties want on their record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. People across the country are fed up of extensive and needless delays caused by road, rail and utility works happening at the same time, a failure to coordinate. My Transport Duty to Coordinate bill would fix this and cut disruption, supporting communities and the economy. Now, I understand the government is looking for ways to support the economy, apparently. Would he pass on my proposal to the Chancellor and back my bill?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I'll certainly pass them on to the Chancellor.
Tom Rutland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Seeing a dentist is crucial not just for people's dental health, but also for their broader health and well-being. But access to NHS dentistry has been a growing problem for a number of years. And in my constituency of East Worthing and Shoreham, only 2 out of 10 dentists are taking on new adult NHS patients, and the number is the same for children. So can the Deputy Prime Minister set out what this government is doing to improve access to NHS dentistry and to put a healthy smile on my constituents' faces?
Deputy Prime Minister.
My honourable friend is right to raise this issue. It's an important issue up and down the country. We're taking action to address the appalling inheritance received by rolling out extra urgent and emergency appointments across the country. We're also reforming the dental contract, recruiting more dentists and making sure that they work in the National Health Service for a minimum of 3 years.
Freddie Van Berlen.
Mr. Speaker, the inclusion of Oxford University Hospital Trust in the rapid review of maternity and neonatal services is welcome, and reports today in the New Statesman and Channel 4 speak to failures at that trust. Will the Deputy Prime Minister commit that the outcomes of Baroness Amos's review will be carried out in full, and commit to this House that the review is the start of a sea change in maternity services and not a whitewash?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Baroness Amos is a dear friend of mine, and I know that the Health Secretary is considering her recommendations.
Janet Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have seen Hurricane Melissa devastate Jamaica and leave the country in crisis. The Imperial College Storm Model states that the hurricane was unlikely without climate change. Now, I know the Prime Minister is at COP30 representing the UK against climate change, but I asked my right honourable good friend, the Deputy Prime Minister, if he will ensure that the UK leads the way on preventing climate change.
Deputy Prime Minister, you're right.
Well, I'm deeply saddened by the loss of life and the scenes of devastation in the great country of Jamaica. And like the honourable member, I have relatives in Jamaica, and I thank and commend my honourable friend for her personal fundraising efforts. The Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary have been in touch with their counterparts to offer our full support, with 7.5 million of aid funding already mobilised. We've chartered flights from Jamaica for British nationals who are unable to fly home commercially. Jamaica will also receive 71 million from the Caribbean Risk Insurance Pool, funding which begun under the previous Labour government that they can draw on for their renewal.
Rishi Sunak.
Mr. Speaker, can I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for joining me at a recent event in Parliament to support the work of Prostate Cancer Research, a charity where I am an ambassador. He and I both believe that introducing a targeted national screening programme for prostate cancer is the right thing to do and would save lives. So does he also agree that the recent compelling results of the 162,000 patient European trial support this case, and that this evidence, alongside data from Prostate Cancer Research and others, should be given significant weight by the UK's National Screening Committee?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, can I thank the right honourable member. Too many of us will sadly know someone affected by prostate cancer, and I have too many members of my family that are living currently with prostate cancer, which is why I'm very proud to co-chair the Prostate Cancer Research event this year and last year with him, and I share his determination to boost research, speed up treatment and deliver better care. Now, he knows I'm biased, but these are rightly decisions for the Health Secretary. The UK National Screening Committee is reviewing the latest evidence of prostate screening and considering whether any changes should be made to save lives. We've invested 42 million jointly with prostate...
Jenny Riddle-Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the past 15 years, there have been 170 cases of matricide, and in 2022, more women were killed by their sons than by strangers. Child-to-parent abuse is often linked to complex mental health, and earlier this year, I met with Laura and Ian, who are doing all they can to support their son with his rehabilitation after serving time in prison. Mr. Speaker, they are living in constant fear of physical harm from their son, who they love and adore. Will the Deputy Prime Minister support me in meeting the relevant minister to discuss the effects of child-to-parent abuse?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Matricide is a horrific crime, and we're committed to tackling it. Our VORG strategy will set out how we will halve violence against women, including domestic abuse, over the next decade. And of course, I'll arrange for the Minister to meet with her.
Final question, Martin Vickers.
Mr. Speaker,
Lindsay Oil Refinery in my constituency is under threat of closure with the loss of hundreds of jobs. A number of expressions of interest have been shown in taking over the whole site. If one of those passes the test of due diligence, could the Deputy Prime Minister give an assurance that the government will back the project and allow the continuation of operations at the refinery?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I can't give him that assurance from the dispatch box, but I will, of course, ensure that the relevant minister meets with him.
A point of order, is it to correct the number of questions that I was right and you were wrong? I hope you're not going for a job at the Treasury. Come on then, James Cameron.
It's on a serious issue, I think, Mr. Speaker, just to be clear. The Telegraph are reporting that a police manhunt has been launched for a second asylum seeker mistakenly freed from prison. The question is, Mr. Speaker, can you advise me on how I can ask the Justice Secretary whether he was aware of this when I asked him about it repeatedly in Prime Minister's question?
You want to? No. You put it on the record. Right, let us move on. Front bench change over. We now come to the urgent question. Dame Priti Patel.
Speaker, to ask the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs if she'll make a statement on the government's approach to the worsening conflict in Sudan.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will join me in condemning the shocking violence against civilians in El Fasher. The latest reports, including 460